Here's the online chord sheet for Never Say Never. Let's play it exactly as it's written. Now, bear with me, this may sound really bad. Okay, now let's hear how the song is actually supposed to sound. Do you feel that difference? One version sounds like the actual song and the other one like a really bad karaoke version. Now, this isn't just a problem with this song, it's a problem that most, if not all, online chord sheets have, and I've tested them. Now let's talk about why this happens and how to fix it. So, now what's wrong with this chord sheet? So first of all, the chords are often way too simplified. So what we have here for the first chord is a G. We have no other information than it's G. Am I supposed to play it with the right hand only? Should I add the left hand? Should I add an octave? Should I play inversions? Should I leave out a note? I have no idea, not even for how long. It just says G and then it says D next. So you have no idea about where it's supposed to be placed in a rhythm. The timing, it's not clear at all unless you really know the song by heart. There's no context for when to change the chords other than the lyrics. You have no voicings, no patterns, no dynamics as well. And it's, just really bad. So if a beginner were to read this and they were to play this to their friends, they probably would have no idea what song they're actually playing. And the problem for piano beginners here is that they copy this sheet. They think, okay, yeah, I can play G major, I can play D major. I know all the chords, but it still doesn't sound quite like the song they want to play. And so they get discouraged and they probably won't continue playing the song because they feel like it doesn't sound like the original. They don't know how to get it to sound like this. And it disconnects you from the actual music in the sense that you're reading this and you're not listening to the actual song itself and playing it how it should sound. Now this will also make you think of chords as very static shapes, which is something we don't want to do, right? We want to be fluent on the piano with our shapes, with our inversions that we're using, and also the connection between the harmony and the melody is not there. So for example, if the melody of the song is very low and we play up here, then it may sound very bad if we sing along, even if we know when to change chords and all of that, because it actually starts down here. Now here's what you can do instead, and here's what I recommend every beginner pianist who wants to really play songs they love to do. The first would be to learn the song actually by ear, or at the very least compare it to the original. So I sometimes use chord sheets like this if I'm very lazy and I don't want to figure out all the chords or just write them down. But what I do with these, I never play them as I download them. I always make some changes. I always still listen to the song. What inversions does it actually use? Where does it start on the piano? Does it start up here or down here? And I make all the changes that I need to make it sound like the original. Now, ask yourself, it's a very simple question. Ask yourself, does this chord sound right here? So if you listen to the song and it sounds like this, and then you play this, and you can tell something is not quite right, even if you don't know the exact inversion or where you should be playing. Maybe you just know, okay, it sounds a bit too high. Let me just start down here. And then you've made a lot of progress already to get actually to where the song, to how it sounds. And then you can maybe listen to this pattern, find out the top note, and then you'll discover, oh, it's actually a second inversion, G. One thing that really helps is to understand functional harmony and the formulas behind chord progressions and pop songs. So for example, you have G, D, E minor, and C, which is the very famous 1, 5, 6, 4 progression. And if you know this progression, then you're probably going to recognize when you listen to the song. So you won't even have to rely on this sheet because you know what's happening. And then when you start down here with the chords, then you can actually have the chords in your mind and then be able to, you know, change the inversions, change it up, but you still know the underlying formula and the structure of the song, which is determined by the chord progressions. The next important step would be to learn about colors and extensions of chords and how to actually play them on the piano yourself. So for example, here in the end where it goes back to G, you have this C chord, and in the chord sheet it's just written as C. But actually what they play in the song is a C major and then going up to the 9, which are some beautiful colors that are completely missed if you just play according to this sheet. So once you learn about these colors, then you can start recognizing them in songs and actually apply them in your own playing. Now, I would use chord sheets only as a starting point. It's a great starting point most of the time because it does a lot of the work. It figures out the key for you and the basic chord progressions, but then never trust them, never rely on them, only rely on your own ear and what you're listening to. And, you know, maybe ask for help. I have a community where you can post questions like this, like, hey, what's the progression to the song? And then I can help you figure them out. But really, never take these as word or as law, and always do your own research and your own thinking when it comes to playing songs. Now, I have a course called Chord Mastery where I teach all the basics of chord progressions like this one. I'll teach you how to play the chords, how to use inversions, patterns, how to recognize and use them yourself, and just all the principles behind chord progressions that you really need to understand how to adjust chord sheets like this one to sound like the real song. The link is in the description if you want to check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was helpful, and I'll see you again in the next lesson.